Hey everyone, in this video, we're gonna go over how I prevent burnout with 9 practical shifts so that you can lead well at work and have plenty of margin to be present at home. If you're new here, my name is Jared, and I'm a high school teacher turned leadership coach. I'm on a mission to help leaders like you develop themselves and their teams without burning out, settling for mediocrity, or losing sight on what matters, because leadership does not just stop at the office. The leader you are at work is the person you bring home to the dinner table, and who you are at home directly shapes how you show up to lead. I've spent years learning to build margin, protect my energy, and create boundaries that actually work. So in this video, I'm gonna share the practical shifts that keep me from burning out so you can incorporate them into your life today. These are small, but really powerful changes you can make in your weekly rhythms, your energy habits, and your calendar starting today. My hope in sharing all of this is to help you lead with clarity, have plenty of energy left to show up for your family outside of work, and stay in this for the long haul. So with all that said, let's dive in. The first shift is start with a mindset shift. I'm going to start with a quote from Michael Hyatt in his book, Win at Work and Succeed at Life. And he says, "We view self-care as either a luxury or a selfish indulgence." The idea here is you need to change the way you view self-care. And I had to do the same thing. I had to stop seeing that me taking care of my time, energy, sleep, exercise, well-being, on and on, the literal practical things that I need to take care of my bodily machine. I used to think that self-care was a luxury, that I was being self-indulgent, and that I was literally wasting my time and my ability to impact others. Instead, I had to adopt the reality that when I did protect myself, I was preparing to give the best of myself to those around me. I had to shift my mindset, and to quote Michael Hyatt again, he says, "To rest is not self-indulgent. To rest is to prepare to give the best of ourselves." That is a massive mindset shift that I began a number of years ago and still am working on regularly today. The bottom line is that rest is not optional, it's mission critical. Shift number 2 is to do the internal work. Do you treat your body like a high performance machine that deserves maintenance, care, and all the components of a high functioning machine? Or do you treat your body, that includes your mind and your emotions and your soul, do you treat it like it's a disposable thing? What I began doing was reflecting with myself and then with others, asking, what are the scripts that I'm believing about my rest and my worth and my performance? This is where having a mature set of friends and who are well seasoned, or professional coaches, and even more deeply, therapists, go down in and help you unpack and uncover all of those internal dialogues that you are having that are blocking you from rest. But the bottom line is, you need to dig in to do the internal work. Otherwise, long term, you might make some practical shifts, but you'll end up being blocked by what's going on in here. Before we get into our third shift, I don't want you to just hear these ideas. I want to help you apply them. So I made a simple 1-page guide that includes all of these 9 shifts for you to get started today. You can download that resource now using the link in the description below or the QR code that I have on the screen. The third shift that I did to help me prevent burnout was build an ideal week on my calendar. In a nutshell, I started to block time for the essential priorities in my life, which included proper sleep, proper exercise time, time with my wife, time with my kids, critical projects at work, church, rest, meals, all the things that I needed to. I put all the big rocks in my calendar first. Questions I asked myself as I was doing this is, when do I move my body? When do I have time to reflect internally? When do I connect with other people? And for me, these big rocks need to be treated as sacred. But unless it's a true emergency, protect what's scheduled. The fourth practical shift is to lock in a weekly review time. I spend 1 hour a week to reflect on what went well last week, where was my energy burned unnecessarily, what needs to change in next week's calendar. When you put this reflection time in your calendar, and I've witnessed it for both myself and those who I see follow this principle, they are able to make constant micro adjustments week to week and make a massive change. Put this reflection time in your calendar and stick to it. The fifth shift is to systematize recovery basics. In a nutshell, create basic systems for yourself, basic checklists to do important and critical things. Daily water, a nutrition plan, a weekly movement plan, a sleep schedule is protected, not having screens past a certain time, having wind down rituals. All of these things that are really basic that you hear everyone talking about all the time on all social media platforms. Pick one of these areas like drinking more water, let's say, and start attacking it one habit per week. One of the simple things I always do, in fact, I have right here, always have a water bottle with you. It's the simplest thing. It forces me to drink water. It constantly reminds me to drink water. Pick one habit once per week and go practice it. And because you're going to be reflecting with time, you will start making adjustments that you need to make it work for you. Shift number 6 is to create energy boundaries at work. One example of this is have buffer time between your intense tasks or meetings. Schedule time for you to take a breath, to use the restroom, to get some water, to step outside and just reset. Don't do things back to back to back. Only do meetings in designated time blocks that you preset or that is best for everyone in the midst of that. Don't do random meetings whenever. Schedule them in a way that is beneficial both for you and your team. Another basic energy boundary is don't do late night emails. They will suck you dry in so many ways. You will then be really tired and yet really wired and won't be able to sleep, which will impact the next day. There's a lot of little tips that you can go into this, but what's key here is learning to say no and eventually learning to say no without guilt so that you can be freed and maximize your energy throughout your workday. Shift number 7 is to rebuild your margin intentionally. I'm going to start with a quote by Richard Swenson, and he says in his book Margin, "Overload just happens. Margin, in contrast, requires great effort." Taking time to build margin and space into your calendar is not going to happen overnight because you've already made prior commitments. Instead, do the transition slowly but intentionally. Schedule white space, literally where you do nothing. You don't have calls or tasks, you just have room to think. You need to make time for fun, for hobbies, for non-ROI activities. Literally basic things that just help you enjoy life. I think it's key here that you remember that life is not a goal to be conquered or something gross to be discarded. It's a gift to be enjoyed. So create the space to do that. And by the way, when you do have good rest and you do have good margin, that will be foundational for your productivity. Shift number 8 is to normalize vulnerability in your leadership practice. Admitting exhaustion is not weakness, it's actually wisdom. So when you admit exhaustion, you're modeling appropriate vulnerability for your team. And at the same time, when you do appropriate boundaries, that models for your team a healthy balance. Let others know when you're protecting recovery time. It's pretty straightforward and basic, and you don't need to get into all of the details, but be frank and straightforward about it. Shift number 9 is to manage your expectations. Don't do what I did and jump into all of these shifts and changes and expect it to be better tomorrow and to never mess up again. In fact, I challenge you, expect yourself to fail often. Expect yourself to adjust frequently. Remember that burnout prevention isn't a formula as much as it is a continual adjustment and rhythm that you're going to incorporate into your life. After you find yourself overworking too hard, Take a minute to regroup, review, and reset. In today's video, we talked about how I prevent burnout in order to lead well with 9 practical shifts. Listen, ideas are easy, but it's the implementation that's hard. And like I mentioned earlier, I made that resource to help you and your team along in your journey. Please grab that resource and start applying it. If you'd like some more support in bringing these concepts to your team, you can scroll down to the bottom of the resource to get in contact with me. Good luck and get to work.